the worst has happened. The Americans has now directly attacked. Um, I just wanted to ask a bit about the extent of the damage to Iran, but also I guess, the pending retaliation. But if you can start with the damage, what is actually happening there on the ground? Because the messages are quite conflicting.
Well, there's a complication here, and that's why I have to explain carefully. The damage was not severe, but the Iranians don't want to downplay that. They don't want to downplay what happened. They're saying that this was an act of aggression, an act of war. And so they're stressing that it shouldn't be downplayed. So but the reality is that the Americans did the thing that happened is that the United States tore up the UN Charter. It tore up international law, and it has engaged in war against Iranians. And that is something that they will have to deal with, and they will have to face the consequences, and there will be Iranian retaliation. So the amount of damage is not relevant at all. They have waged war. They've carried out war. They're just like Netanyahu. My understanding is, well, since it's too early, I don't want to go into details because there may be some things, there's some information missing, and which, so I need more time to figure out everything. But in any case, I think for the Iranians, the issue that is important is that the war against the Israeli regime will continue. Iran will continue to punish the regime. We saw this morning the Iranians carried out heavy missile strikes. And 24 hours a day, the Iranians are carrying out drone strikes, and many of those drones are hitting their targets. And they're also emptying air defenses. And the Iranians are not going to halt their nuclear enrichment program under any circumstances. In addition to that, I can say that Iran, although they haven't decided, but we are moving closer to Iran leaving the NPT. So, if only to protect Iran's assets, Iran should, from now on, rethink its cooperation with NPT so that the United States and others would not know what Iran is doing, so that they cannot kill people or destroy assets. Again, even though what the United States did today was not of great significance in the sense that there wasn't much damage, there wasn't extensive damage, but they carried out an act of war, and that is what's important to the Iranians. So it will have global consequences because the UN Charter no longer has any value. It will have military consequences because Iran will retaliate, and it will have consequences for the International Atomic Energy Agency, because in future Iran is going to think differently about how it cooperates and what sort of information, if any, should be given to
This guy
controlled by the United States. As I'm sure you know, the International Atomic Energy Agency's Board of Governors is a political body. It's not a technical body. And I did a DeepSeek search, and 17 of the members, DeepSeek isn't always right, neither are any of the other AI apps, but 17 of the 35 member states are European and North American. And then Korea and Japan are also permanent members. That gives the West a very clear majority on all issues. And so when the IAEA is used as a tool for Western domination and Western hegemony and to justify aggression, then I think there are going to be serious discussions in Tehran about our future relationship with this body. So what the United States has done is going to have major consequences.
Yeah, I would like to push back on the idea that the UN Charter has been thrown out, but it's a bit difficult. Again, this is for the US and the Europeans who spoke for the past 3 years about unprovoked aggression in Ukraine. This is an actual unprovoked aggression, and I've seen so far this morning the responses coming from Kaja Kallas, the EU foreign policy chief, and Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, was, Iran is not allowed to have a nuclear weapon, which is which at least I interpret as a statement of support. But this is the only thing they have to lean into, it seems. That is, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, and Israel has a right to defend itself. It's such a strange argument to make when their own intelligence services recognize there is no nuclear weapons program, and it was a surprise attack. I mean, this is, I don't, beyond what's being done to Iran and the non-proliferation treaty, I don't think people appreciate necessarily what's being done to international law. This you can't really go back to what it was anymore. But you did mention Iran might pull out of the non-proliferation treaty as a consequence. Would this be simply as seeing as a way of not wanting the inspections, given that the IAEA hands over information, or would it be perhaps also to develop a nuclear weapons as a deterrent against future attacks?
Dr. Gundry, can age spots be removed? Absolutely. A common mistake is...
I can't speak on behalf of the government, but I think that without a doubt, the questions that are being raised in Iran is that the IAEA, which acts as an agent for the West, obtains information and passes it on to Iran's adversaries so that they can bomb the country. And then, as you pointed out, Western leaders and politicians and officials justify it and say Israel has the right to defend itself. So the Israelis can slaughter people, destroy countries, carry out war, and it's all self-defense. anything that the Israeli regime does, whether it's massacring children, as we saw this morning, there was another major massacre, it's all self-defense. The Europeans, Americans have created this dystopian world where words mean nothing anymore. They just play with words, and the meaning of words is what they choose for them to mean at that particular moment. And that's why I'm saying that the UN Charter has been thrown out the window. Now, I understand why you say that that may be not completely the case, but I think that under the circumstances that we live in, it's clear that the UN Charter is not going to be anything that stops an aggression or anything that stops war or slaughter or genocide. And we've been seeing that for at least the last 20, 21 months.